Hello, I'm Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I'm Quentin Tarantino. We're here to do notes on a scene.
We're going to break down the character as best we can.
Of Rick Dalton.
And I do want to establish that he's the one with the photographic memory.
That's why I'm here. It's why I'm here. Rick Dalton represented a certain type of actor that came out in the late 50s and the early 60s. A few spots on some television shows, a few smaller parts in like military ensemble, and he's thinking about going to Italy to start a spaghetti western career.
It's the day in the life of a man sort of going not only through an emotional breakdown, but a transition in his
careers. However, none of them really quite worked out. Some of them were okay, but he never pulled off the TV to movie star transition. And so now it's 1969. Mm-hmm. In 1969, they never saw this happening. The culture had changed.
Yeah.
You know, now if Rick's going to get a part in one of their movies, he's probably going to be the cop. And everything he's been taught about being likable and being a leading man, and like people have to like you if they're going to want to get you into their homes. Rick doesn't understand. What? No one wants to see that. Who the hell wants to see that? He's wrong, but he doesn't know that. It's the Hollywood he'd been taught.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting with Quentin to be able to work on this sort of emotional breakdown that Rick is having, this realization that time has passed.
In a similar way that McQueen wasn't coming from this place where, like, say, Paul Newman was. Mm-hmm. Rick's doesn't come from the method.
Right, of course not.
Concept. I mean, he probably thinks all that. In fact, he does think all that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting, Rick has never changed his look his entire career. Very much like a 50s leading man, all right? The way he wore his hair then is the way he's going to wear his hair forever. This director wants to change your look, and one of the ways he does it is he puts a long-haired wig on you, and he puts a mustache on you, and he kind of wants you to play the leader of these rustlers as if he's the leader of a Hells Angels gang or something. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is you have only seen yourself one kind of way, and we have only seen you one kind of way, and even the audience of this world has only seen Rick one kind of way.
Mm-hmm. And you and I had a lot of discussions about whether, you know, these sort of pivotal scenes with the young lady.
By the way, this other actress he's talking about is 9.
Right, exactly. And him feeling miserable about himself and his lilife. And we weren't sure whether to do, you know, this huge chunk of Rick's character in this makeup, but it really turned out to be amazing. We had a lot of different talks about how do you portray this character of Rick Dalton, the humanity of him.
Which is rare for a young male actor, because mostly young male actors like worship at the altar of Steve McQueen. And it worked. He actually liked the episodes, and he actually liked McQueen in the episodes. He liked him as Josh.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, Quentin is a cinephile, but he's a lover of these actors that maybe an entire generation hasn't heard.
Talking about Ralph Meeker, he's literally my favorite actors of all time. He is one of my favorite actors. And so the idea that Leo wasn't that familiar with him, but then the next day, all he wanted to do was talk to me about Ralph.
Every actor could be blessed with that type of backstory going into a movie. It's every actor's.
I could chapter and verse. At some point, though, you're not doing a film book about Rick Dalton. You're playing a character that has to actually be alive and carry through in scenes. In a very nice way, Leo would say, okay, all that's well and good about all this minutia. I need something to act. What am I doing in this scene? Stop talking about what he's done in the past and tell me, who am I? I told Leo about this show from like the early 70s that I was a big fan of, and actually Brad was a big fan of when we were both kids. The guy was undiagnosed bipolar, and the reason that he was drinking was to self-medicate himself. Leo got that. We already had Rick a drinker, but the whole thing of undiagnosed bipolar and not knowing how that works and the weird pendulum swings of emotion that you would have, especially if you don't have a medical understanding of why you feel that way, that became a really interesting thing. And that gave Leo a good solid ground in which to work and to build a character.
How to bring that sort of emotional roller coaster to Rick in that short period of time, and I think we, you know.
Well, the emotional weight that grounds you to the floor.
Yeah.